When I was first asked to speak today about things that I do and ways that I think that are different, that are kind of out of the box, it didn't really take me a long time to figure out what I was going to talk about. And that is rules. Most of my family, most of my friends, most of my coworkers know that I hate rules. I fundamentally believe that rules are meant to be broken. And I know some of you are going like, oh my God, rules are meant to be broken? You gotta be kidding me. But there's a reason why rules drive me crazy. Literally, they make the hair stand on my head. If Dog the Bounty Hunter likes to hunt down bail jumpers, I love to hunt down unnecessary rules. And the reason why I like to do that is very simple. Not all rules are worth following. I know that you're struggling, I know. But bear with me just a second, because I do believe that there should be rules. There are some good rules out there. Who would like to live in a world where, for example, you didn't have traffic laws? There'd be utter chaos if there weren't signs and road maps and those kind of things and that keep cars going in the right direction. Nobody would want to live in a world like that. And who would want to live in a world where there were no laws against killing and stealing and all kind of criminal activity? And who would want to live in a world where the federal government could take all of your money anytime it wants to and you couldn't get it back? Now, they've got a law that even says if we pay too much, we can get it back. And who would want to live in a world where doctors and lawyers could be anybody they wanted and they didn't have to go to school and they didn't have to get tested? Or you were accused of a crime and you didn't have your day in court. No one would want to live in a world like that. Rules, they make us comfortable because they create order. Rules, they help us make decisions on what to do and what not to do. Rules, they give us a sense of fairness, what's right and what's wrong. But quite honestly, everybody, some rules have lost their value. Well, if you don't believe me, let me tell you a couple. One, if you think about it, is the speed limit. Have you ever driven on 285 in Atlanta? If you've driven in 285 in Atlanta, here is what you know. Nobody drives 65 miles an hour. And how about our favorite, going to grocery shopping? And how many of you love this sign? 15 items or less. What makes this an interesting rule is that it's meant to be an express lane. So let me ask you this. A, B, C, you give me the answer. Sometimes the express lane can be like a math test, so consider this a math test. A, would you rather be in the express lane when there's somebody with 15 items and they're all large and they all have to be lifted up to the scanner belt and scanned? B, you'd rather be behind a lady who has 10 items and she wants to argue about the one she doesn't think is priced right and she raises her hand and says, can you get the manager? Or would you rather be in the express lane where somebody has 20 items, they're all the same, and they only have to be scanned once? This is the challenge with rules, particularly in the world that we live in. Rules, at their best, are best when the person, the people, and the circumstances line up to yield the best possible results. I'll say that again. A great rule is one where the people, the persons, the group, and the circumstances all line up to yield the best results most of the time. Most rules require some kind of critical thinking, which today seems to be a thing of the past. We prefer that people make decisions for us. So we'd rather be in this line, express checkout, about 15 items. As long as you're going to be fast, you can get in that line. So, some of you, I know you're still skeptical. You're very, very skeptical about being a rule hunter like myself. But today I'm going to convince you that you should become a rule hunter as well. How am I going to do that? I'm going to show you the Rule Breaker Hall of Fame. Just 5 rule breakers who might convince you that rule breaking is okay. So how about I start with the most famous? Who do you think that is? Jesus. You see, it's Sunday, and that man has a problem with his hands, and he's standing there, and the rule says we don't heal on Sunday. And all the rule keepers, you know the rule keepers, is he gonna, it's Sunday, is he gonna? And Jesus does the unforgivable. He heals the man on Sunday. What was he supposed to do? Tell him to come back tomorrow? I don't think so. The man was there today. So the first principle is never let a rule keep you from doing the right thing. Just this week in Alaska, there was a swim contest where a young lady was disqualified. She actually had a swimsuit on that matched the rules. But because of the uniqueness of her body, the suit looked different. So she won and was disqualified. Well, here's the good news. She filed an appeal, and guess what happened? They reversed the disqualification. You know why? Because they were doing the right thing. And how about my next Hall of Famer? You've heard of her, Rosa Parks. Rosa, working hard all day, got ready to get on the bus, and she's tired. And there's a section in the back that says for colored. And Rosa decided, no, I'm not going to do that today. You see, here's the principle. Any rule that benefits another group over another group is not a good rule. We need to start questioning rules that do not level the playing field. Example, in 1990, the American Disability Act was created. Can you imagine what it must have been like for someone in a wheelchair before 1990? Was that fair? Did it give others an unfair advantage? Someone thought enough to put some rules in place to even the playing field. I got another great Hall of Famer. Her name is Susan B. Anthony. In 1872, she actually voted in the presidential election. But guess what? There was rules against women voting. So she actually violated the law and violated the rule. But she didn't leave it there. For the next few years, she began to speak on women's voting rights. Here's the principle. Never let anybody put you in a box. You see, now we have women running for president, Senate, House of Representatives. We have women on the Supreme Court. And here's what Susan B. said. Forget what the world thinks of you stepping out of your place. Think your best thoughts. Speak your best words. Work for your best works, looking to your own conscience for approval. And I would say, not only did she get out of the box, I would say she shattered the box. My next Hall of Famer is Gandhi. Gandhi was an Indian lawyer who was trying to help India in its quest to get freedom from British rule. Now, if you know anything about folks who are trying to get independence, usually they do it through war. They do it through uprising. They do it by physical means. Gandhi said, we're going to do it with peace. So rather than use the rule of war, he used the rule of peace. Here's the principle. You don't always have to follow the pattern and the procedure that has gone on before you. You can look for new ways of doing things. So think about that one, rule hunters. And my last and final rule breakers are the Wright brothers. In a time when everybody else who was working on flying was trying to create power engines that would get the aircraft in the air and keep it in the air, the Wright brothers said, we want to create a method where there can be pilot control. And think about it now, where would we be without air travel? You see, the Wright brothers, they created a new rule. And so as you think about the computer, the iPhone, the cars that will drive themselves, and you think about space tourism, those rule breakers said, we're going to establish a new rule. As I close this, and as you yourself consider becoming a rule breaker, I want to leave you with this thought. When God created the heavens and the earth, he gave Adam one rule, and they broke it. He tried to keep it simple. But the next time around, he said, okay, they need more than one rule, so we'll try to do 10. And he did the 10 commandments. And men continued and continued and continued to have rules until there were hundreds and thousands of rules to follow. And even today, people are sitting somewhere making rules that will soon not be necessary. And so God tried to get it right one more time when he sent Jesus. And if you remember what Jesus said when he was asked, what is the greatest commandment? He said, to love God and love your neighbor as yourself. And all laws and rules hinge on those two things. Go. 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 Find some rules to break. Who knows where it will lead?